Okay, this one's weird. Like, I think we talked about this 2-3 years ago, and I don't think my memory is failing me, but this is a very similar video we made 3 years ago, back in like May of 2018. I remember this specifically because this was the day before I went to New York for a week for a school trip in grade 12. Which was one of the best trips of my life. I'll never experience anything like that again. Gathering 60 people who are not all friends, but who all have a huge sense of camaraderie together, and bringing them over across the border into New York, doing stuff every single day, having some fun exploring. Man, I want to go back to New York. But back then, we made a video talking about how Elias Pettersson, the Vancouver Canucks top prospect of the 2017 NHL Entry Draft, and back then, a very, very cult star for the Vaxjo Lakers, one of the best players in the entire SHL, we spoke about how he might not have been ready for the NHL. At least according to the opinion of his GM at the time for the Vaxjo Lakers. Well, today we're talking about the comments made by Uffe Bodin, and I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but what we have on our hands is a little bit of an interview he did on Sportsnet 650 the other day, where he spoke about current Vancouver Canucks prospect Nils Hoglander, and the comments he made were quite noteworthy amongst Vancouver Canucks fans. If you're wondering, Uffe Bodin is indeed a hockey journalist who primarily covers the SHL. He does Swedish stuff for the Swedish Hockey League because he's a Swedish guy, which is not surprising. But Bodin does indeed have a very big repertoire of credibility amongst the hockey world. He is the editor-in-chief of Hockey... Oh my goodness, hockeysverige.se, which is a very big hockey website for Swedish hockey coverage. They have 50,000 followers on Twitter, and he indeed is a very respected Swedish hockey journalist. He said this on Sportsnet 650. If we go over to their Twitter account, Nils Hoglander is not ready for the NHL yet. He's turning into a really nice player. He's only 19, he's a smallish player, and he needs time to adapt, but he's making progress. The best thing for him would be to play another year in Sweden. So, the idea proposed by Bodin is that Nils Hoglander, Vancouver Canucks current second-round pick from the 2019 NHL Entry Draft, and current 19-year-old cult player for Rogle, who has made his mark on the sheer amount of lacrosse goals he has scored and attempted, should probably spend 2021-2022 in the SHL. And a lot of Canucks fans saw this and they're like, oh, of course, the Swedish journalist is out here saying that the Swedish guy who's really good needs to go out there and stay in Sweden. It's because they want something to talk about next year, right? They don't want a really talented player like this to go away. And maybe that's part of it. Maybe. That's what a lot of people I saw were saying, but I don't know if I want to say that guaranteed for sure. By the way, though, on the subject of lacrosse goals, Nils Hoglander actually tried another one earlier in the previous Rogle game, and it was kind of funny because he wasn't behind the net. He was in front, or at least he was on the side, and he was like skating in front of the net, where he tried to whip it on and go short side while he was going onto the far side. It was funny, but it was interesting. He almost scored on it. We have ourselves a few other comments from a few other guys on Sportsnet 650 as well. This is from Cam Abbott, the head coach of the Rogle BK. He said this about Nils Hoglander. His commitment to the fundamentals have improved. He works so hard. I'm able to put him in more situations where he gets offensive chances, mainly power play time and offensive zone starts. With the young guy, with the ability and success rate that Hoglander has with a lacrosse goal, I think he should be attempting it whenever he can. It's a really high percentage chance when he can execute it. Abbott also said that he believes that Hoglander can indeed challenge for a spot with the right commitment, fit, and environment. He answered this after he was asked on Sportsnet 650 as well yesterday on whether or not Nils Hoglander could make the Canucks roster. And so, there are some people who are bigger believers than others. Abbott here says that if it's right, if he does things properly, if things go his way, then there is a chance. Jim Benning said it a few days ago as well. He expects Hawryluk and Hoglander to challenge for a roster spot in 2020-2021. Meanwhile, you have Uffe Bodin, who comes out here and says there's another year that Hoglander needs to spend in the SHL. So this is kind of being brought back to the Elias Pettersson thing, because if you go back, 3 years to when Elias Pettersson was wrapping up his #1 best SHL rookie season of all time, #1 SHL scoring leader season, we saw the GM come out in an article and he had some very interesting comments to say. Here's an article from Vancouver, Pass It to Bulis, written by Daniel Wagner, talking about how the GM of the Vaxjo Lakers does not want Pettersson to leave. Back then, there were reports talking about how Elias Pettersson may just stay in the SHL for another year, not sign with the Canucks, and not play in what would that have been, 2018, 2019? Yeah, that would have been 2018, 2019. There were some quotes from the Swedish GM, and they were translated into English on TSN 1040. Here are some of the quotes here. Elias does not want to go to the NHL just to fit in. He's got to go and lead the organization, both on and off the ice, because he's going to be one of the franchise players. Unfortunately, Elias does not really know what that means. Therefore, I don't think it'll be the biggest surprise in the world if Pettersson chooses to stay here in Vaxjo for one more year. Get older, get stronger, and be prepared so when he does go to the NHL, he is ready. He would be the SHL's main guy from day one, a light version of what's later awaiting him in Vancouver. And it might not be so silly to practice that for a year. And I said it back when these comments were made 3 years ago, but come on, bro. Are you serious? Are you serious? Pettersson was already the best player in that league. Bar none. He was already #1 in the league on the team. He broke the rookie scoring record, and you were saying, oh, maybe he goes back to the SHL and he experiences what it's like being the main guy. He already was the main guy, bro. So this is kind of where things differ. Obviously, Nils Hoglander is not Elias Pettersson. We're not going to expect a Pettersson-like ceiling at a Hoglander. Hoglander, at the time of this recording, if I check up the elite prospects, 10 points, 18 games, not the over a point per game rookie-shattering records that Elias Pettersson put up. Not the same. But the situation is a little bit different because Pettersson, hey, he played 1 season of SHL hockey, then yeeted over to Vancouver, dominated the NHL, won the Calder, was under a point per game, and Hoglander is in, his 3rd or 4th year of the SHL already? He's been playing in the SHL since he was, 16, 17 years old? So it's just kind of funny to me how the parallels are there, how 1 year the Vaxjo Lakers GM says, yeah, no, our #1 guy might just not be ready for the NHL. He's probably going to come back here, guys, right? Yeah, sorry, Vancouver, we're having him for another year. And then we have a Swedish journalist who is very respected, I will say that, who comes out and he says, yeah, Hoglander needs another year. Sorry. Even though the GM already said, yeah, no, we're probably going to expect him to challenge for a spot, where the actual coach of Rogle says, yeah, I think with the right circumstances, he definitely can challenge for a spot. And now, Nils Hoglander is here in a position where his loan expires later, this week? Yeah, it expires this week, so we'll see what happens then. Once Vancouver gets their training camp set up on January 1st or whatever it's gonna be, I want to see Nils Hoglander do his thing, man. Jace Howerluck is supposed to be an AHL guy according to Elite Prospects, but Hoglander, we'll see what happens with these guys. I want to see these guys force a Louis Eriksson out of the lineup. I want to see these guys force a Brandon Sutter into the press box. I want to see these guys give the Vancouver Canucks competition as to how our bottom 6, maybe even our middle 6, is going to shape up. Because it's not going to be easy holding on with Beagle, Sutter, Eriksson, Roussel in our bottom 6 because, they don't do anything. Give us some new life, bro. Give us something to cheer about. People were asking the question as to whether or not Nils Hoglander was NHL ready a year ago after he was drafted. Now we're a year and a half removed from that date, and we're still having the discussion saying, oh, nope, he's probably got to spend another full year in Sweden. Sorry, bud. Yeah, wait till he's 20. I mean, maybe that's the case with most NHL prospects, but this guy's been playing pro hockey for the past 4 years, and he's a very different kind of player. You don't really see too many 5'9", 180-pound fire hydrants out there consistently able to play with men. Actually, he's 190 pounds, not 180. Incredible for somebody who is only 5'9". You don't see too many of those guys going out there and improving their point production like Hoglander has, dominating the junior scene like Hoglander has at the World Juniors, and just being a competitive player at this level. Only to just say, okay, nah, screw that, you're playing another year in Sweden, bud, sorry. So, I don't want to discredit anything that Bodin said, even though I kind of went against his idea here. Obviously, I have respect for the guy, it's just one idea I'm disagreeing with, but I still have faith in Hoglander for this year. Jim Benning has faith. Cam Abbott has faith. We'll see how exactly things go on. And I want you to tell me in the comments if you have faith. Do you see Nils Hoglander, at the very least, challenging for a spot like how Jim Benning illustrates it? Or is it to the point where Bodin is right and Hoglander undisputably needs some extra time in Sweden? He spends 2021, 2022, and he doesn't come over until 2022, 2023. I don't want to wait another full year, man, for Hoglander, because I want to see those Zorro goals in the NHL. Talk to me in the comments what you think. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sure that Trolls 99, and bye.